Hi, ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Marcus here. I was looking on the tube and I saw the statement, religion does more harm than good in the world. And someone might be asking, why is that? Because this is a statement. Religion does more harm than good in the world. So naturally, one would ask why. And you'd get all kinds of answers, but I'd like to share one with you. The reason that religion does more harm than good is because religion is about man. Religion is not about God. It is used to aid man in glorification of himself. What it's basically doing is reading scripture and expressing his own understanding in reality through that scripture. And as people vary, so does everything else. And so this is why we have Protestants and Methodists and Baptists all under that banner, all these different names. And you got Catholicism, and you got all, well, you know the number, any number of them. And you would ask yourselves, what kind of God do they represent? Or you don't even have to ask yourself that, because the statement has already been made. Religion does more harm than good in the world. So that is simply because it is about man. It is about man and not God. You have to realize man separated himself from God and decided that man could do it better for himself than God. There's no better way of understanding that than in America, where we say we're going to have a system, or we're going to have a nation. And in our nation, we're going to have it built on the understanding and interpretation of man and keep God out. So over here we got white and black and races and hatred and bigotry and terror and meanness. All of that is over here. And then we try to pass some laws to curtail it, to hinder it, tie it down a little bit, so we can say that we represent what we walked away from. Well, this is what is happening. This is why it's happening. Even in Christianity, when they described man and God, they said man was made in the image of God. And so by saying that, they believe that what they see themselves reflects God. So I guess God is supposed to be somewhere walking around with big feet, big hand. I don't know what guy got nappy hair, straight hair, what, somewhere like that. That's really, but in my experience, God is a spirit. And so to me, to say that God made man in his own image means to me that he made man a spirit, that man is a spirit. And that we perhaps, if we can understand it that way, are spirits living in these bodies. Now, yes, spirits. And when we say and understand that we are here no longer, it's because our spirits have left our bodies. Sometimes we have to go through a whole bunch of stuff before our spirits leave our body. And that's the sad story. That's the sad story. I think personally, when man leaves this earth, man should leave this earth much more comfortable than when he came in. Now I don't know. I don't even remember when I came in, if I felt any stress or pain coming through that tunnel. I don't know. I just don't know. And so I don't know about the pain or what it's like leaving. I never left, and I don't think. And but we spirit. And so to understand God, you have to understand spirit. You got to understand the truth. You got to understand what light is like. And see, when we separate ourselves and we want to still pretend like we got it going on. See, so we try to snatch our God into it. And our God gives us legitimacy to stand up and authorize us to tell women what to do. Our God authorizes us to walk and tell women how to dress and how to cover their heads and how not to show this or that. Our God tells us who is free and who is slave. Our God tells us who's to suffer, who's going to be homeless, and who's going to have the hardest times in life, and what it requires to not have that hard time, and choosing who will be those that receive the free time. That's what the God of this world is about. This God of this world is about white supremacy. I'm sure this God of this world about black supremacy somewhere. And the God of this world is about Chinese supremacy or Asian supremacy somewhere. And anything that's left out, there's a God for that too. And they're probably at odds with one another. Yes, probably at odds with one another. Can't get along for nothing. Every last one of them better than the other. That's the religion of the world today. That's why it's doing more harm than good. See, to know truth, you have to represent the truth. See, the truth of it is that there is to be no poverty on this earth. Why? Because God provided all the resources of this earth, and there are needs, certain needs that every individual on this earth have. And they are gifts that individuals got so they can engage themselves in the process of all the things that's being done for the benefit of man on this earth, which makes them part owner by engaging themselves in the process and to have access to all that exists. Now, see, that's the absolute truth. But how many of you believe that? How many of you have heard that before? You ever hear that on the radio, TV, in the newspaper? You ever hear preachers tell you that stuff? Do you ever hear a preacher, anybody tell you that if you want this, you got to stand up and represent it, nobody's going to give it to you? Anybody ever tell you that? You ever ask yourself why this stuff is never mentioned on television? Why you never have really movies about it? Do you ever ask yourself why the talk shows, they never talk about stuff like this? The greatest thing that you can ever imagine. People pray about it and pray for it every night. Some of them, not everybody, but every night. Some pray every day, all day for it. It's as if they expect, like the rain that came today, it's like they expect it to just rain down. It's not going to rain down until you stand up. The rain came today. Now you got to stand up. I'm telling you the truth that would cause these things to happen. And this truth that I tell you is just like the rain coming down. Now you better absorb it. Now, you don't better, but it would be wise to absorb it and rise. Woo-wee. What a beautiful place this would be. But anyway, that is why religion does more harm in this world than good, because it is about man. It is not about God. Thank you.